Legett Allen Bryant, my dad, and the youngest son of the Bryant clan. In my view, which is probably extremely prejudiced, he was, even though he was the youngest son, he was the most responsible man in the family. He looked after everybody. Um, he he was a very supportive father and grandfather throughout his life. He ran on the railroad. He was a chef cook on the Texas Eagle, and he was an excellent cook. Um,
He
Leggett
got
was
married.
Leggett was first married to Lucille Atkins Bryant, my birth mother, who brought with her a son, Cyril Atkins Bosley. Uh, he was a very dear brother to me, and he looked after me like all my brothers did. Uh, but he was my first brother, and I adored him. Uh, he kept me straight, however, but he was always kind and seemed glad to have a little sister.
And then you had a younger brother.
Uh, my mother and dad had a younger brother, had my younger brother, Legett Allen Bryant Jr. We called him Boots as a little boy. And he was about 4 years younger than me.
So your mom, she passed away early?
My mother passed at the age of, my birth mother passed away at the age of 30 years old,
Mm-hmm.
tuberculosis. She had to spend some time in the sanitarium, and when they sent her home, I didn't know that they were sending her home to die, but she died soon after. I was about 5 years old.
And did y'all go stay with other family?
Yeah, we moved in with Auntie and Down, and we lived at, well, first my dad hired a housekeeper, and that didn't work out for very long. And we very soon moved in with my grandmother and my auntie, where we stayed until a few years later my dad remarried my stepmother, Christine. Uh, and then we all moved to her house. She had a house that was bigger than my dad's house, and in a little better neighborhood. And so we rented my dad's house and moved in to my stepmother Christine's house. And she had two sons that were, well, one was grown, one was nearly grown. Both of them were, the youngest one was nearly old enough to go into service, James Lawrence. And Lee was the older son, and they both went in service. James went into the Navy, and Lee went into the Army.
So did your dad tell you any funny stories about being on the road?
Yes, he did. He had one funny story that I never had forgotten. But there was a waiter that worked with him who had a problem with flatulence. And, whenever he felt the need, he would openly fart. And my dad pulled him aside and told him, "Don't fart out here in the dining car. You go back in the hall or to the restroom or someplace and do what you have to do and then come out."
So he didn't take any stuff.
My dad didn't take any stuff from anybody. Kind-hearted as he was, underneath, a lot of it was underneath. But on the road, he was kind of a different man. Because he was in charge on the road. He was the head cook, and they had to jump to his music, or else receive his wrath. There again. My dad was a very different person, I understood later, on the road, because he was in charge of, so many of the men that he worked with. But he was a different person at home. It was like there were two different people, two different Legett Bryants.